Welcome to the Lean Podcast, where empowerment and alignment come together. I'm your host, Mahogany, here to guide you through inspiring stories of resilience, overcoming grief, health challenges, career struggles, and more. Together, we'll lean into strength, embrace growth, and discover the power of sharing experiences. Before we dive into today's episode, I'd like to start with a prayer. If you feel comfortable, I invite you to join me. Dear God, thank you for this space to uplift, inspire, and empower. Bless the woman sharing her story today and those who are listening. May this podcast be a source of hope, healing, and alignment with your purpose for our lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, you guys. So today we have Vayna with us. Vayna is a 23-year-old real estate investor out of Seattle, Washington. She is also a real estate coach who has her own wholesale company. Help me welcome Vayna. Yay! I always do that.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, Vayna, for hopping on and making time. You guys are in for a treat today. Like, as I mentioned, Vayna is 23 years young, and she is crushing the real estate game out of Seattle, Washington. So you want to tune in because it's not always glitz and glam that we see on the internet. These are real life stories that we'll have to make decisions on when it comes to getting into a real estate business. So Vayna, outside of real estate and being amazing, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you like to do, things like that.
Sure. Well, I'm also amazing outside of real estate.
Hey.
But, I spend a lot of time with my family. I still live at home with my siblings, so we're really close. I spend a lot of time with them. I'm a poker player. I am a creative, so I like to do art. I like shopping. I'm a little bit of a material girl. But those are the big ones that make me up outside of work.
I love it. I love it. So you being so young, tell us a little bit about what you did in high school. What was your high school career like and getting out of high school?
Sure. Yeah. So what got me to where I am now? My business is going to make $1 million in 2024. And I started in real estate as an agent. So I wanted to not have to work for my whole life. That was a big one when I was in high school. I was the nerd in high school. I was an overachiever. I had a few friends, but there was a lot of like stuff inside that was kind of holding me back from doing what I really wanted to do in high school, or I wasn't the popular kid. But anyways, when I was in senior year and it was time to think about going to college, and all my friends were, applying for college, and the counselors and the teachers and everybody was talking about going to college, get your application ready, here's what they want to see, da 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 da. I was just really like, I don't want to go somewhere and do 4 more years of school and pay $50,000 a semester, go into debt when I don't even really know what I want to do. I've always been pretty business minded, I would say, and I was raised to be an entrepreneur. I would say, like, I was told growing up that I should own my own business and that I should make money work for me and I shouldn't sell my time to other people and corporations. And the thought of going to work for a corporation for 50 years and then retiring and being chained to a desk on a 9 to 5, I was like, well, when am I going to get to travel like these people do online? When am I going to get to do what I want to do? When am I going to get to do art and music and all these hobbies that I have? What if I don't want to work for my whole life? I really want to be a mom when I'm older, a little bit older. And, how am I going to be a mom and spend time with my children if I'm working? So I found real estate agent. You don't need a college degree. You just need a high school diploma and you go take the tests. And I was really good at taking tests. So I got my real estate license on the first try. I just did the course and took the test online. And I got my real estate license and it was really, really hard. The question was about high school, so I don't know if this is coming next, but
keep going.
Yeah. It was really hard getting into real estate because I was an introvert. I didn't know how to talk to people. I had no sales skills. I was not born with the sales gene. I may have been born to do what I want and be entrepreneurial minded, but I I didn't know my knee from my elbow when it came to real estate and selling. And so for the first 6 months, I didn't know anyone who wanted to buy or sell a house. I was 18. So I drove other agents around to see what they did and learn how they did it, for free. And I was kind of just getting into the jive of seeing what this is and how they talk to people and da 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 da. I went to a lot of coaching events too to kind of learn and absorb. And I just saw all these people who were making all this money being real estate agents. And I was looking at them on stage and how they were presenting and the people that they kind of came across as. And I was like, if you can do it, then I think I can get this. So, I got into cold calling for real estate deals, and I was 18, 19. By that time, I had even recruited a couple of my friends from high school, like, hey, you want to come do this with me, basically. And so we were all just, in this little office together, cold calling homeowners to see if they want to sell their house with us. And finally, with the consistency, something stuck, and I landed a listing appointment. I brought a senior agent. We closed for the listing agreement. We sold that listing. This was 6 months into my career. It took 45 days to get that listing sold, and I made a $16,000 check. And it was that check and that transaction that really solidified that I can do this. So, it just took off from there. And in my first year of real estate, I sold 14 houses and made $100,000 in gross commission income.
Wow. So you came out the gate running like, look, we're going to make this happen.
Well, it was really scary in those 6 months. I was like, am I even going to be able to do this? I don't know what's going on. So.
Wow. So did you ever explore college as an option, or did you from the jump decide you wanted to be an agent?
Yeah, I did. I applied to University of Washington, and I got in direct admit to the business school because I was a very good student, and I'm a little bit naturally talented. So yes. I got into the business school, and I went to orientation, and it's just looking at these schedules and these classes and all these credits that I'd have to take and the path to graduation and everything. And I'm like, and between that and the cost, when that bill came, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I was the summer of my high school senior year, I was doing my real estate license while also heavily considering college. So I was kind of doing them at the same time. And the only thing that drew me towards college was that it was a backup plan. And I figured I could not go to college. I could skip a year, go try real estate. And if I really suck at real estate and I don't make any money for the year, I'm still net positive instead of going into debt, going to college. I totally believe in college if you know what you want to do, but it's just such an issue these days that, my generation feels like we have to go. And how many millennials and Gen X are working entry-level jobs with bachelor's degrees? They're working at Starbucks when they have a degree in computer science or whatever it is because of the job market and all this stuff. It doesn't guarantee a job. So that wasn't cool with me.
Absolutely not cool, not fair. So how was your parents' support during this time? Were they on board with whatever you decided?
My parents are divorced and I have relationships with both of them. And growing up, my dad was the one who was playing Jim Rohn in the car and Zig Ziglar. And so I was absorbing all of this kind of background knowledge on you can own a business, you can do it, this motivational stuff that we all kind of hear today. And I say that I was raised on that stuff. And so the mindset piece has never been very foreign to me. We were listening to Zig Ziglar in the car when I was 10, you got to have goals. And so I was applying that at school. I made a goal at school to finish this week and do this and finish my file and finish this piece in a month, etc. And so, my dad was pretty anti-college. So that kind of helped with I don't have to go to college. He was like, why would you go when the degree doesn't mean anything? My mom is more conservative. She's always supported me. And she said, just go to college as a backup plan. So that was kind of the voice in my head. But at the end of the day, I was just like, I know you guys don't want to pay for this. So let me just, I would have had to get student loans anyway. No one wants to pay that much for college. So yeah, that's kind of what it looked like. Ultimately, the decision was on me. And like even today, I feel like I've struggled with anxiety in my career, but that summer I felt like the most anxiety in my life because it was like I was deciding the fate of my life or whatever.
Literally,
Yeah.
literally. Wow. I'm so happy to hear like what you said about your dad. That makes me like, okay, I'm on the right track with my son because we're always
Yes,
listening to
ma'am.
something in the car, like always.
Absolutely. Yeah. They learn it by osmosis. The kids absorb stuff.
And they absorb stuff for sure. So after your successes early on in real estate as an agent, where did you go from there with real estate when you realized, okay, I got this, I can do this? What were your next steps in your business?
After that first year, I was elated. I was just really proud of myself that I made it happen. My goal for my first year was 20 deals or 100 grand, and I hit the 100K with less deals, which, less work. So that was a plus. I went and bought myself a Gucci belt that December when I turned 20. I sold it later because that shit was ugly. But in year 2, I decided to take some of that money and hire a real estate coach through Tom Ferry. And he was a really great coach. And so he helped me look at where my business was at and, what my habits were. Coaching, as you know, Mahogany, it's kind of funny because sometimes you don't want to be honest with your coach because you don't want to admit that you've been slacking off or whatever it is, or you don't want to hear it today. You already had a long day. Now you got to get on the coaching call. But no, my coach was really, really helpful. And so in year 2, I remained an agent and I made about 360,000. So I tripled my gross commission income. And that was from doing the cold calls. I represented a lot of buyers. I did a lot of buyer agent business. I had worked with a hedge fund that year and kind of figured out a system to help them buy houses when the market was the way it was in 2021. So year 3 is when I found wholesaling because that's pretty much all I do now. So in year 3, the goal has always been to make money to buy rental properties. That was kind of in the background when I was in high school. I was like, well, it seems like if you own rental properties, I had read Rich Dad Poor Dad this year. So I was like, okay, so if you buy rental properties, then that's passive income and equity that's going to compound over time and create wealth. Because that's what I want. I want to not have to worry about money. I had all kinds of shit happen in my childhood where money was such a sore subject. And I figured when I was like, I remember being like 8 and thinking like, well, if I just make enough money where it's not an issue, then I won't have to deal with all of these problems. Like our family is so worried about money. If we just take that issue away, then we can just enjoy each other and just have our family time. So, year 3, I met a real estate investor who, he owned a bunch of houses and he was next door to my little office where we were cold calling, and he dropped in one day because he heard us doing the script, when do you plan on selling? And he was just like, hey, I'm buying houses. If you ever get something off the market, I want to take a look at it. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, I coach with Thatch, right? And Thatch was a big name, especially in Seattle. Everybody knows who Thatch is in real estate. But I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. I'd seen that guy on Instagram. Like, is he for real? And he's like, yeah, he's really cool, blah, blah, blah. And so we're just talking and, basically I start setting some appointments for wholesales, like off-market fixers. And I bring this guy along and he helped me close 3 wholesales in 3 months. And we made 100 grand together, splitting the profits 50-50. So Scotty taught me the way with wholesaling. And my first wholesale check, that first one of those 3 we did, was for $80,000, split in half. And it was like a $400,000 house. We had found a lady who wanted to sell her house off the market. She didn't want to work with real estate agents. So we made her an offer about $360,000. And then we found an investor who wanted to pay $440,000 for the property. So we assigned that contract to the investor. Mind you, you don't even need a real estate license to do this in most states. And having my experience as a real estate agent helped a lot with this process and like understanding pricing and everything. So we under contract for 360, the investor paid 440. We assigned that contract for the $80,000 fee and we got paid at closing. We didn't have to put money down. We're not buying the property. We're simply connecting the investor to the deal and getting paid that finder's fee. And so when that happened, I was like, man, screw being a real estate agent. There is so much more rules and customer service and process involved with being a real estate agent. So after that first deal, I pretty much just shifted my business over. And, for real estate and real estate agents, it's not much of a transition over to wholesaling. I always say wholesaling for real estate agents is a tool in our belt. It's just the cash offer where you don't have to pay commissions and closing costs. So I added it to my business, and my business just slowly became more and more wholesaling, and I was still growing my team, and I kind of built a wholesaling team. And so today in 2024, I've got 10 guys on the team. I've got some women too. So 10 guys and gals who are actually doing work, because I have a few who, are kind of just, they're here around absorbing and still working on getting it. But I've got 10 people, and we're finishing out 2024 with $1 million in wholesale fees. And yeah, I still have my real estate license. I do a little bit of transactions, but that was the goal this year, and we're hitting it.
That's a blessing. Killing it. Yeah. Went from like 100K and you're like, oh, that was awesome, to like $1 million. Wow. Yeah, so proud of you.
Year 5 of my career, I believe.
Year 5.
Or year 4. Year 4. Yeah.
Year 4. Okay. So with all the success, what has been some of your lows or some things that have come up within building all this? I know sometimes lives. So what has come up that you found on this journey?
In the process, a big low was like I would go 2, 3, 4 months without a check, because real estate is all commission based. There's no base salary. So I would, I feel like I was working hard every day, making my calls and going on appointments and trying to fill my pipeline, but nothing was sticking, nothing was closing. So I just had these moments, and building my career, I was very much about like money was the number one thing in my life. I was young. I am young. I didn't have much responsibility. There was no one really counting on me, no one depending on me. It was just me. And so I just became obsessed with growing and financially, which, isn't a bad thing. And I'm really happy with where I am today. But because I was so about money, then when it wasn't working and we were going month 2, month 3 without making money, I would just get really, really hard on myself. I would get very, very mean to myself and be like, what's wrong with me? Why aren't I doing this? Especially building my social media career at the same time too, and trying to show up and, show what I'm doing and help people get into real estate and teach. When I would go a little while without a deal, I'd be like, but you're Vayna, you need to be making deals. What the hell? What is going on? So those were lows. And, being in springboard and coaching with Thatch and Stephanie has helped me a lot on that piece. One of the biggest turning points to kind of fix that mindset and heal it were when, I brought this to Stephanie. I was like, Steph, it's been like 3 months without making deals. I'm just so frustrated and so stressed. And she goes, well, Vayna, it was like April that year. And excuse me, she goes, how sure are you on a scale of 1 to 10 that you're going to make another deal this year? And I'm like, well, it's only April. I'm at 10. Of course I'm going to make another deal. And she's like, well, there's your answer, basically. So that was like the wave in my career for a long time, was like emotionally connected to my business and money, which, is hard not to do for all of us. In 2024, I fully realized I'm turning 24 next week, and I've been really tapping into kind of learning about who I am and being confident in who I am, and my relationship with myself. I've had some unhealthy relationships that revealed how I feel about myself. And that was the low of this year, realizing that I really wasn't being nice to myself. So, I say I'm in my wellness era, I'm in my healing era, my self-care.
Yes.
And that has been really great with kind of moving away from making money my number one and opening myself to the other important priorities in life. I'm single. I would love to have a partner someday in a marriage and children, like I said. I'm prioritizing my family again. I realize how much I've neglected my siblings and my parents while I've been on this journey. And, they're proud of me and they know how Vayna works. And so it's not like anything was materially affected. Well, not yet, at least. I know what it was like being young, and my parents were working all the time, and I was taking care of my younger siblings when I was younger, and so that was my role. And so giving more priority to my relationships, my family, and my health has been the focus this year.
Yes, you've been killing it with working out. Like,
Thank
I
you.
know I've seen you over the years working out still, but like I could just tell now it's like this is life. Like this is just what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been amazing to see.
Exactly.
Thank you for sharing that with us, especially when you shared earlier that anxiety was something you had dealt with. So waiting for that next check to come could feel like fingernails on a chalkboard for someone who has anxiety.
Yeah.
So tell us, what is something you would share with a woman who is going into a new career and she doesn't feel like she has this? What would you tell her?
I'll say, because I have a couple of friends who go through this, and it's really interesting for me kind of hearing, because, maybe I'm far removed from kind of the beginning and what it's like. When I really tap into it, I can remember, and I still feel like, I've got goals and I'm not where I want to be. But, if you're at the beginning of your career and you feel like you're trying to get this, I would say give it time, be patient. Don't be too hard on yourself. This is a process. There's going to be ups and downs. And it really takes the consistency and believing that this can work for you. Like, you are made for this, and this is going to work for you no matter what.
I love it. I took it like you just talked to me personally. I'm like, okay, I got this.
Period. You got it.
Thank you. What's one of your biggest takeaways from building this business over the last 4 years? Like, what's your biggest takeaway that you would constantly like to be reminded of?
I would say my biggest takeaway, and this could even, be another bit of advice, is it's not really that hard. And this might sound controversial, but when I got that first check, and I was with my friend Alex Bradshaw is one of my day ones, and he was there with me, and and we did this when he got his first check too. We're just like, yeah, just make $16,000. What? Like, it's hard, Legally Blonde. Like, what? Like, it's hard. Like, all we had to do was call some people and go on an appointment and show them how we list houses. They signed our contract, and then we sell the house, and we made $16,000. Like, it's not that hard. And half joking, half for real. But what I've learned, I've been doing a lot of Tony Robbins in the last couple of years, and what I've learned from that is when your why is strong enough and you are doing this for a reason that is greater than yourself and for a reason that will take you out of your own head, it's really not that hard to go make some calls, build the business, make those connections, and get to where you want to go. It's not that hard when you have a really great reason why that's truly tapped into, yourself and your purpose.
I love that. It's not that hard. That's a good thing to tell yourself, no matter what you're going through. Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah. We get in our heads a lot. So that's, when I don't know if I can swear on this, but when I'm at the gym and I'm trying to like get my last rep in, I'll censor it. I'll be like, I am not a B word. I'm not a bitch. And just like kind of repeating that in my head, like, am I a bitch? No. So let's go.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Well, where can we find you if someone's looking for coaching?
You can Google me. It sounds kind of big-headed, but my name is so unique, Vayna. I'm very active on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So if you look up my name on one of those, I'm there.
Okay, I love it. And one last thing, what is a book you would recommend to a woman who is trying to go through the channels you've already traveled through? What's a good book recommendation?
My favorite book is The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F Word by Mark Manson. That's my favorite book. Again, gets you out of your head and stop worrying about all the other stuff that really doesn't matter and just focus on the stuff that does. If you're on a healing journey, there's a book called The Inner Work. I don't remember who it's by, but it's a blue sparkly cover. And that one has helped me a lot with doing that inner work of tapping into, why do I act this way? Why am I doing this? Why can't I do this? And kind of that emotional side of and spiritual of what's going on with you to get to the happiness and freedom that we all want.
Love it, love it. Well, thank you so much, Queen Vayna, for hopping on the Lean podcast today. It means the world to me.
Thank you, Mahogany.
Thank you for tuning into Lean. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired, empowered, and ready to take on whatever challenges come your way. If this conversation resonated with you, make sure to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. And don't forget to share it with someone who could use a little extra encouragement. The Lean podcast thrives because of listeners like you. So let's continue to build this community. Drop a comment, leave a review, and let us know what topics you'd love to hear more about. And if you haven't yet, be sure to join our Facebook group, the Ladies Empowerment and Alignment Network, where the conversation and support continues every day. Until next time, keep leaning into growth, empowerment, and alignment. Thanks for being a part of the Lean community.